When I think about fear, I think about a power that keeps me alive. And you can see that it's very different from the way normally people think about fear, that it's the bad thing that I should do everything to avoid. We turned fear into an enemy. And we can sing songs about the most important thing is to have no fear, and you have those slogans, no fear, okay? And as a man, you learn to overcome fear and be brave. And we can see that there is a lot of misunderstanding about what is fear and what should we do with it. So the fact is that we'll always be afraid. Every time something changes in a situation, which means all the time, we are afraid. We don't know what will happen next. And this kind of fear keeps us attentive, alive, on our toes, and ready to adapt, change, run away, or whatever is necessary, or think, okay, to deal with the new situation. So fear allows us to really fit to the physical reality that is around us, and not just to what is in our minds. So in a way, it's a beneficial power. It comes to brings us a lot of energy and a lot of ability to concentrate, to think, to make quick decisions. But we were trained from very young that fear is a bad thing. When we were small and we were afraid, it frightened our parents. And since they also didn't want fear, they tried to make us unafraid, that they will not have to be afraid. Now, this has been going on for many, many generations, that every sign of fear is something that says we have to calm it down, push it down, pretend it's not there, try to find solutions. And you can see that we created a defense against fear that somehow pushes it away from us. It doesn't allow us to really even experience what it is. When I teach people how to allow fear and how to agree to be afraid, most of the time they are amazed by how wonderful it feels. In their mind, it appears as a horrible kind of experience, as something terrible that they shouldn't agree to, that it will be really bad. But when it happens, actually the experience is very different. Now I want to look at a simple example. To stand in front of people and talk like this, for people that are not professional, and many times even for professional, is embarrassing. So I want to ask a demonstrator to come in here and show you, please, how I go about turning embarrassment that I look at as a reaction to fear into just fear. So come here and face them. Close your eyes. Breathe in your chest. And feel your heart goes boom, 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 right? And your legs, you notice that you hold them very stiff. Why don't you bend your knees a little? Yeah, a little bit. And now feel there is a movement in your body, like a tremor, like a shiver, like a flow. Okay? Excellent. Just agree. And drop this jaw up and breathe. I asked him just not to do what he usually does to avoid fear. And since it wasn't very intense, it was relatively very easy to achieve, and he could do that. So all the energy that he usually would invest in pressing down the fear, he agreed that will be in the body. You saw how his eyes opened, you saw his presence really into the room, and he had a moment that fear gave him life, intensity, clarity. Okay? He forgot to be embarrassed. It got all very interesting. Okay? And that's what fear can do. We also look at the two types of fear we can meet in life. One is fresh fear. It's happening now. Okay? The house is falling. We feel the ceiling falling on us, and it's real. If we don't move now very fast, we're dead. So this kind of fear is immediate. You manage to escape, you run outside, you look at the house collapsing, and your body starts to shake after. Because what happens now? The fresh fear became old fear. It's now a memory. It's not happening anymore when you're outside watching the house falling down. But what you have now is the old fear that if you didn't know how to allow fresh fear in your body, now it's being stuck in your body and it gives you the experience of it's happening now, even if it's not happening now. So you can see that we misunderstand how to deal with fresh fear and we try to turn it into old fear. Old fear is old in the sense that it happened in the past, in history, not now. Our bodies respond to fresh fear in the now. We get filled up with energy, and unless we are trained to block fear, repress fear, and freeze as a reaction to fear, then this energy makes us move. If we are too terrified of fear and we freeze, then we are victims of the fear itself. And instead of being beneficial, it's actually the fear that will kill us and not something else. So when we look at fresh fear and old fear, we can see another thing is that fresh fear, if it's very long, we cannot be able to maintain it. We are unable to experience long, fresh fear. So something almost happened, and it took 2 minutes, and afterwards you shake for a few minutes, and you talk about it for 5 more days. Then it was fresh fear, and it was okay. But if that thing would take 3 days, your ability to allow fear would be diminished greatly. You'll be exhausted, and you will try to turn it into old fear in a way that it will not touch you anymore. Now, why is that? Our bodies are not designed for long fear. If you think of wild animals that we were once were, if the lion came at us, we either died and then no more fear, or we managed to escape. It took a minute. It took 2 minutes. Okay? It was long enough to get this jolt of energy, act upon it, and if we survived, okay, then this fear was a blessing. But imagine yourself running away from the lion 3 days. Constantly. I mean, there is no tree high enough, there is no rock big enough, and you're running and running and running and running. The lion runs and runs. And we are unable to actually deal with something like that. And you can see that the traumas that leave the strongest mark on us are those that either devastated us in a moment, like we got in an accident when we have now 20 broken bones and 5 surgeries, and it was clear that in one moment it all happened, or long periods of time in which we were terrified, like being abused in childhood, or being in a prison where we were tortured for long periods of time, or we had to suffer all kinds of deprivation under long circumstances, then our ability to deal with fresh fear is diminished greatly. We cannot maintain it for long. Fresh fear was about run, jump, but then relax. It's over. The lion went away. You can now, the lion went away, and you can now just relax. Long fear starts in a way to push us away from the ability to experience fear. We have to defend ourselves against it. It's draining us. We are unable to keep this kind of intensity. And if we look at children that have to live in long periods of fear, you can see that they climb into their minds, they leave their bodies behind, and they actually do everything not to feel fear. And like this, they get trapped in their inner world. They have to live with constant fear. So we looked at fresh fear, we looked at old fear, and we looked at the fact that we don't want fear. Now, we don't even think about that, because it's like in our natural point of reference towards life, we look at the road that we'll walk that has the least fear. Okay? Every choice we make, we look forward into the future, and we try to find the road of least resistance, in a sense, but the road of the least fear possible. I will make professional choices, personal choices, etc., just from avoiding fear. And we end up doing all kinds of gymnastics, okay, in life just to avoid the big bad fear. Fear contributes to our well-being. It's a power, it's an energy. It makes our hearts pump, it makes our blood flow, it wakes us up. Fear empowers love because it reminds us of loss and separation and the fact that our time is very short and very narrow. Without this, and I look into the future and I'm going to see eons of boredom, okay, then my well-being is greatly disturbed, okay, and I am not well-being at all. So, in a way, to be fully alive and well, we need a constant, continuous flow of fear. We don't know what will happen all the time. We just tend to forget it. Our minds tell us that we can predict what will happen, plan what will happen, know what will happen, and it's all lies. Because reality has too many factors that we can truly control. We can never control our situation. Okay? We can try, and we can waste a lot of effort in it, but even if we look at the reasons, why would we want to control the world instead of enjoying it? You can see that even this kind of crazy ambition, we would like to control the world, comes from refusing fear. Because if I refuse fear, and I want to refuse fear constantly, I must make sure that nothing will frighten me. And the best thing is that everything is dead around me, and then nothing will ever frighten me. No more snakes, no more spiders, no more people. Everything that frightens me now I got rid of. I'm alone in the universe, and actually I found out that now I have nothing to do. Fear and pain are some of the most powerful forces that shape who we are and shape our lives and our bodies. We need fear and we need pain. Now, we definitely need them in quantities that don't destroy us. And we cannot have them for long periods of time. And the aim of this methodology is to teach people how to agree to experience fear and pain and to be able to deal with those periods that are very long after they were finished in a way that they don't stay alive in our attention. So both those powers actually came to allow us well-being and allow us healing. Pain and fear wake up the body immunity, strength, resistance, okay? And those kinds of powers are what keeps us in well-being and in health. You take away pain and fear, and we don't really have anything to fight for. We don't have anything that we love enough or care about enough that will be at all motivated. What we made as a mistake is to look at those two forces and say, those are enemies. We must keep them away from us. We must close them somewhere, hide from them, instead of looking at the fact that we can ride those forces, that they can make us powerful, they can make us clearer, they give us actually the chance to heal ourselves and become much more who we are.